Greetings in the love of Jesus, precious friends. Here's an interesting fact that I learned just this week. Did you know that in World War I, part of those who were enlisted to defend the city of Paris were, wait for it, parrots? I never knew this. These beautiful and colorful birds were housed on the Eiffel Tower. Why, you may ask? That's a good question. It seems that parrots have exceptional hearing, and long before any human could detect the sound of incoming enemy aeroplanes, these birds would pick up the sound and start squawking loudly. And these parrots basically became the city's early warning system, like an alarm system. The system wasn't perfect though, and I understand that the parrot alarm system was discontinued because even though the birds have exceptional hearing abilities, their little ears couldn't distinguish between the German airplanes and the Allied airplanes. And so basically they would start squawking at any approaching aircraft, whether they were friend or foe. Exceptional hearing, but still limited. I love that God's hearing is exceptional and unlimited. He hears when we speak to him. He can tell the difference between my voice and yours. He even hears the cry of our hearts. He doesn't need us to repeat ourselves or say things a little louder or a little slower. He doesn't have to turn down the volume of others just to hear us when we speak to him. He hears our words. He even hears our whispers. Psalm 116 verse 2 paints this beautiful picture of how God listens, and I love it. It says, "Because he turned his ear to me, I will call on him as long as I live." Because he turned his ear towards me. What a beautiful picture of the way that God listens to us when we speak to him. He doesn't just hear us, he listens. Different translations say the same thing in different ways, but just as beautifully when they refer to this verse. They say things like, he listens closely. He inclined his ear. He listened so intently. He paid attention. It's almost this picture of how God stops and turns towards and focuses, comes a little closer, leans in, zones in, and gives his full attention. The New Living Translation says, he bends down to listen. How amazing is that? How comforting, how reassuring. The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords inclines his ear towards us when you and I speak to him. He listens intently, closely. He turns his ear towards us. He leans in. He bends down when we speak to him. So what will you and I do with this today? The psalmist determined in his heart and declared with his mouth that because God turns his ear to him when he speaks, that he would call on God as long as he lived. Not just when he needed help or needed intervention or needed rescuing or needed provision. Yes, then of course, but also when he was glad or grateful or in awe of who God was and is, or in praise of him, or just because he loved God. As long as he lived, he would speak to God. You have God's attention. He is listening to you. In fact, his ear is turned towards you. What will you say to him today? God bless you.